All right, everybody. Welcome back to What's Up World podcast. Got a man in here with us today that's got a story to tell us, and I've wanted to hear it as long as I've known you, but we're all of us is finally getting the opportunity to hear it. So without further ado, we got Mr. Jeff Madden with us. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing all right. How are you? How's everybody out there?
Doing good, buddy. Doing good. I'm glad you decided to come on and tell us your story, man.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you inviting me.
Yeah, no problem.
All righty.
Tell us a little bit about you growing up, and are you always lived in Jackson County or what? I think I know the question, but to those that may not know.
Yeah, for those that don't, my name is Jeff Madden. I was born in 1964 to Roscoe and Shirley Madden. I've lived in Jackson County my entire life and plan on finishing my life here.
Yep.
And I did graduate high school in 1982, and hopefully what I'm doing here today will touch someone's life and help someone. And you may hear some tears and crying going on. I don't know if I can do this without it or not.
Yeah.
You know, sharing your life story with people, you know, there's a lot of sad moments that goes with this. And actually my testimony is for my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And,
absolutely.
You know, I love the Lord, and, you know, what I talk about here today is nothing to glorify what I've ever done in my life. It's
right.
Just what the Lord has done for me. And, you know, and the mistakes that I made, you know, running with the devil for 27 years, you know, and I know who he is. And I've heard people, they're like, God's not real. Well, I know God is real. I know what he's done for me.
Absolutely.
And hopefully someone needs help, they can get some help.
I believe it'll do a lot of people a lot of good, without a doubt. I've known you a long time. I mean, you've always gotten along, been friendly with each other and stuff, and I know a little bit about your past, you know, getting in trouble and a few things and stuff, but me and you ran up on each other last night, Greyhawk, coming home. And no matter what type of situation you was in throughout all these years, you've always been the nicest guy I ever was.
Thank you.
And I've always thought a whole lot about you, which makes, I say that to say this. You come upon people like that is in a bad situation, but they're always real good people, real personable people. That right there is a sure sign of them being just trapped.
Right.
You know, by something like addiction.
Yes, addiction is a major trap.
Yeah.
It will steal your life, your identity. It'll steal everything about you until that you make a decision to want something different in life.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people that I grew up with and partied with, most of them's in the graveyard or in the penitentiary. And all honesty, that's where I want to be. I should have been in a graveyard years ago or in penitentiary for the things I've done for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
You know, God had another plan for my life, and I appreciate him, and I thank him very much. I thank him every day, and I praise him every day for what he's done for me.
Oh, absolutely. Now, I may be wrong, but did you do time?
Yes, sir.
I think you did do a little time.
Yes, sir. I stayed 13 months in McKee jail before I went down to the pen, and I stayed I don't know, I got a 10-year sentence, and I had to pull 20% of it and go through a substance abuse program while I was in there in order to get back out into the streets.
Now, that substance abuse program, you had to do that in order to
get shocked back out.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir. And actually, it's the best program that I ever went through in my life. You know, penitentiary didn't change me, the Lord did, but this program that the penitentiary has, why it's not in the street, I really don't understand. There's a lot of information. I learned more about myself personally and who I am and how I function. There was 500 of us in this program. Yeah. We all had the same book. I remember walking up to the counselor, and I'm like, this is a joke. I said, you know, we all got the same information. And this counselor, she said, Mr. Mann, she said, if you will apply yourself to this program, she said, you take what's in this book that applies to your life and you use it, she said, you'll learn something. She said, what don't apply to your life in this program? She said, just forget about it. and I learned more about myself. And then that program was one of the best things
Yeah.
that I'd ever went through.
Now, I think it's probably important to kind of set the tone a little bit. Like when you were sentenced to prison, what was the first day in there like to you?
The first day was when I got down there. You know, you had a lot of things on your mind. You know, when you go to penitentiary, you know, there ain't nobody likes you before you get there. There ain't nobody knows you, and ain't nobody there for missing Sunday school. They're all convicts, so you don't really know what to expect.
Everybody's there for bad reasons.
yeah. So, you know, it's like when I first got there, first thing they do, you know, is they shave your head and they strip everybody down, and it's just like a big fire hose that they spray you down with.
That delousing or whatever?
Yeah, delousing and debug you. It's kind of degrading, but at the same time, you know, penitentiary is not supposed to be like being at home.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
So it was, you know, I didn't really know what to expect. I'm kind of like this. All through my life, I can adapt to any situation if necessary.
Yeah.
And that was just something, you know, going to the penitentiary was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it was, and there's a lot can't say that. You know, most goes to the pen, comes back with more connections.
They do.
And
they do.
I told my mother, I said, while I'm gone, I said I'm going to do something that'll benefit my life when I get back here.
Yeah.
You know, little did I know what all was in store.
Uh-huh.
But it did, and it was a big help. So I mean, it was the best thing.
I can see that making a big impact on somebody, you know, kind of a big wake-up call. You know, how old was you when you went to the penitentiary?
See. I'm 59 now, and I went to the pen, I think it's 2003, or it might have been 2005. It stayed till 2007.
Okay. 2005 to 7, did you say?
Yeah.
Boy, 2 years. That's a long time.
It is when you can't.
When you're used to freedom.
Yeah.
You know, that's a big deal. Now you done 20% of that and got out. What happened? Like, what was the situation when you got out? Did you go back to that life, or was it changed from then on?
No. Now I did make a few mistakes when I first got home. You know, it took a little while for me to make those mistakes, and it ain't a mistake that I wanted to make.
Mm-hmm.
But the best thing is my brother come to me before I ever come home, and he said, I've got a job for you if you want it. And that's when we had the feed store up there.
I remember that. I remember buying some boots off of you out there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And that helped me more than anything, because now I'm also like this with a lot of addicts. When I was in the penitentiary, they'd give us a list of people that would hire you and put you to work and help you.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get home, you call these people, they don't want nothing to do with you. So, you know, addicts that's coming back out in the street, and I say this to people that's listening that runs businesses or runs across an addict, somebody, you know, that puts in an application. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a firm believer that when you're an addict, until that you want a different kind of lifestyle, you're not going to get a different kind of life.
That's true. I believe that, yeah.
But at the same time, if somebody's got to give you a second chance in life.
Mm-hmm.
And if nobody's willing to give you a second chance, 99% of the people go right back to what they was doing.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, nothing's never changed.
Yeah.
Because I'm like this, the friends and the people that I used to hang out, when I first come home from the penitentiary, you know, 27 years of drug addiction, I didn't fit in with people, normal people as I call it.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
I couldn't even have a conversation. Never had a conversation with somebody in a normal conversation. It was all drug activity or something to do with drugs is the only conversation I'd had because of the lifestyle that I lived.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't fit in over here with the normal people, but I also didn't fit in where I used to hang out because I didn't want that life anymore.
Yeah.
So it took me a while to adjust to a normal life.
Mm-hmm.
And I love life, and I love life every day now. Normal life is better than any of the past life I ever had.
Yeah.
But it did take me a while to transition into that. And to be able to sit down and have a conversation with somebody, you know, because, you know, in this small town, I know how everybody is. They're like, we'll give you 6 months and you'll be right back in the pen.
That unfortunately is the truth.
And, you know, that's just how things goes, you know. And And I'm like this, didn't have nothing to prove to nobody except for myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there's a lot goes along with drug addiction that, you know, people thinks, you know, I'm just getting high, I ain't hurting nobody but me. And there's a lot of people, you know, any addict's got somebody that loves them and cares about them.
Yeah.
And, you know, you put a whole lot of people through a whole lot of things.
Well, yeah, you know, that's very true. I've had people come on this podcast before that was addicts, and they say the very same thing. It's not just yourself you're hurting everybody around you that loves you.
Yes, sir.
Because they're faced with, like, feeling like they're enabling you. They don't.
Yep.
They want you to get off of them, obviously, but then there may come a situation where you're in pain, you're hurting, you're needing that quick fix or whatever
Yep.
to keep the what is it, detox, I guess, at bay, keep it from happening, because that's real painful. You know,
Yes, sir.
And so they feel sorry for you, and so they may go help you get something to
That's
take
right.
that edge off, but then at the same time they know they're helping kill you.
That's exactly right.
You know, it's a real tough spot for not just the person that is dealing with the addiction, but the whole entire family.
Yes, sir.
It's a bad situation.
Yes, it is. Very much so.
It's something else that I think about every person on this podcast has said. You know, that you're not just hurting yourself, you're hurting everybody around you.
That is absolutely correct.
Yeah. Now, go ahead.
And you can't figure that out though while you're out here strung out.
Oh yeah.
You know,
well, you're just
don't
thinking
want
about that next time.
the next time, and you know, no matter. I'm like this with addiction. You couldn't quit addiction for no family member, no child. You know, the addiction was stronger than everything else, even though, you know, I love my family and my children. You couldn't quit for them.
Yeah.
You know, and it's pretty heartbreaking after that you get straightened up, what you really realize that you put other people through, and especially your children.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I can't imagine how hard that would be.
that's a hard one on the old heart.
Mm. Well, you're not in the right frame of mind to think about anything like that in the moment. You know, from what I've been told, all you're concerned about is that next time, you know, having it ready for when I need it the next time. You're not thinking about the people that's involved in it with you or that you're hurting and stuff. But then when you do have that moment of clarity or recovery, all those real life emotions and feelings start coming to you.
Yes, sir.
And that would be a lot to take. It would be a lot to take.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, but you know, with the help of the Lord, you can get through it.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, that's the only way. You know, and I mention the Lord quite a bit, and I have to, because I tell you what, you know, I held hands with the devil. I know who he is, and I'm like this with any addict or any lost person. Period. You know, as long as that you're holding hands with the devil, he'll never bother you. He'll feed you disease. That's what he'll do, because, I mean, he ain't going to aggravate you until that you make one step toward the Lord, and then you really realize who he is.
Oh, yeah.
And you really realize, you know, he's been real, just as like, that's just like Jesus. Everybody's like, well, I don't believe in this and I don't believe in that. But if you're lost, when you take you a step toward the Lord, you'll see how real they are on both of entities.
Now, do you remember the first time you ever tried drugs, any kind of drug? What was the first drug you ever tried?
The first drug that I ever tried, probably wasn't considered a drug, was actually gasoline.
Huffing gas.
Huffing gasoline.
Yeah.
And if you want me to just go ahead and
go right into it. I'll shut up and let you have it.
Yeah, you're perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. My addiction started, you know, I played basketball and baseball, and like I said, come from a good family. And I created my own prison along my way of life. And but at 10 years old, you know, I got an 11-year-old daughter, and I got grandkids. It's around that age, and when I look at them, you know, I sit back and think, you know, at 10 years old, I like to smell the gasoline, and then I'd smelled it a few times, back in them days, it would give you a buzz.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where my addiction started. And started huffing gasoline. And man, it would put you out there just like you was on LSD or something. Yeah. And, events takes place in a person's life that either makes you go one way or another as well. And I don't blame things. This is just Jeff Madden's life and what happened to me and how that I chose to live my life. And between 10 and 13-year-old, I was smoking. We'd smoke a quarter pound of pot every weekend. We was drinking alcohol. I was dropping LSD by the time I was 11 and 13-year-old.
Oh, God almighty.
And on major trips.
Yeah.
Major trips. And little did I know, nobody sets out to be an addict, Danny. Nobody. All this first starts out to be fun,
Yeah.
We're going to have a good time. Little did I know what this was going to turn into in my entire life. But anyway, when I got in high school, I didn't make the basketball team. And I don't blame that for what I done, but that was just another turn in my life that I'm like, I got other things on my mind anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to party and have a good time. And, all through high school, it was pot, it was speed, it was a pill called a Quaalude. I remember that they said I'd be selling headbands when I got out of high school.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I might have been straight 2 or 3 weeks out of 4 years.
What about that? Yeah.
And the addict that I was, I'm like this. I have an addictive personality. If I like what I'm doing, I like to do a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, just don't glorify nothing. To me, it just I just want to tell everybody, what kind of life that I did live. 30 to 50 joints a day for years.
Yeah.
And then I smoked 4-pack cigarettes on top of that,
Man.
So what I'm saying, if you think God ain't real, I'm sitting here and I can breathe.
Yeah, buddy.
And I ought to have been on the oxygen. I ought to have been dead.
Yeah.
But this is just early.
Mm-hmm.
30 to 50 joints a day, and this continued on for years. But and I thought I'd sat in high school, and I'm like, you know what? I don't need a job when I get out of high school. I used to watch Cheech and Chong all the time, Danny.
Yeah.
And I learned this old saying from Cheech and Chong: I don't need a job. I got a pack of them in my back pocket.
Yeah.
So I kind of, I went through school just enough to get by and just enough to pass.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't worried about what was coming after high school. And I'll explain some of that a little bit later on. I don't want to jump from here to there, trying to keep everything in order in my life here the way to tell this story. But, little did I know, years on down the road, you need education.
Uh-huh.
Care what anybody says. You need education. You need to learn something while you're at school.
Mm-hmm.
Besides what I learned. I learned I could roll joints up and throw them out the window. Somebody throw a $5 bill in. But, being an addict, that led me to another thing in the addiction world, which I've become a dealer. That took care of my problem.
Uh-huh.
And nowadays I look back, and how many people's lives did I help destroy?
Yeah.
Or feed their addiction, and it's a very sad to me.
Mm-hmm.
And, I got out of high school, got married, moved to Jackson Valley. My apartment was upstairs, and the stairs was like Walmart every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
A lot of people in and out.
A lot of people in and out, and I'd smoke all day with them. And I couldn't go get a job somewhere if they'd done a drug test, because I couldn't ever pass a drug test.
Yeah.
So I'd hang drywall, stuff like that, something, anything that anybody wouldn't drug test me on. But what that taught me is I'd take the pot, or I'd take whatever I had with me, and I'd sell that where I worked.
Yeah.
To make my money back, and it's pretty miserable but it covered my addiction. And that didn't last too long, a couple years, whatever, and we divorced, and about 6 months later, I kept on doing the same thing regardless. Married again, married my best friend, and we got 2 kids together. I love them kids. And when I first laid eyes on my son, that's a love that I felt inside I'd never felt in my life. When him and my daughter's about 17 months apart. This is my oldest 2 children. And I'd sit outside. I slung dope then. Continued to slang constantly. And it was enough. The pot and the pills you thought would be enough. And I used to fight a lot of chickens, and we used to have chicken fights, and we was snorting a lot of coke. And this is where I probably met my worst nightmare at, is I run into methamphetamines, and I'd been around it a while here. I'd seen my buddies, they was all strung out, and I said, I don't want to be like that. And but we'd snorted, I don't know how much cocaine, and a friend of mine, he's like, try some of this, and I'm not talking about the homemade meth that they make here today. I'm talking about the meth that used to come out of Arizona and California.
Okay.
Now, this stuff was, some wicked stuff. I never done nothing like this in my life.
Yeah.
And it's a one-hit hook. You could do just a little bit. You could do a half inch of a line, and you'd be up for 3 days.
God almighty.
And I'd never done nothing like that. And nobody around here really knowed I was on that.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I continued on that, but I got a little bit ahead of myself here. I'll go back and rewind a little bit. I got busted. I can't remember what year it was. I got busted by the feds for drug trafficking in Jackson County and other eastern parts of Kentucky.
Yeah.
And you would think, that might straighten a man up a little bit.
Yeah, that'd be scary.
And, it was the first offense I'd ever had in my life. So when I went in front of the judge, they said, well, you ain't got no criminal record. We're going to probate you for 2 years, send you home.
Yeah.
Well, I just got to thinking, I beat this. I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
So I come back to the house, and I said, I need to go undercover here a little bit more. So I hooked up grow lights and started doing my own growing.
Oh, okay.
And I thought, well, nobody needs to know. And then that's when the meth started. That's when the meth come into play too. And I took a drug test every month for the feds, and I passed it by drinking a naturally clean tea. I passed that for 2 years. But the methamphetamines, I'd probably been up 6 months at one point in time when everything blowed up in my life.
God.
I'd probably been up probably hadn't laid down in 6 months.
Oh my God.
It was crazy.
How can a body go?
That's right. My body would want to lay down, my mind wouldn't let me.
Yeah.
But what it done is, I don't care if it's drugs or not, or you stay up long enough, your mind starts playing tricks on you.
Oh yeah.
I went totally crazy on this stuff. It made me mean, is what it made me, and do a lot of foolish stuff. And a little bit on down the road, my wife and my kids left, and losing my children was hard on me, but I was no shape to take care of them.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
But I loved them.
Oh yeah.
And don't blame nobody for anything. I used to run around. I've run up and down this road with my kids and me strung out on pills, and stop at the pill dealer or here and there with them, and I've had my kids to stand outside at the Lexington Mall up against the wall and nobody to watch them while I went to the bathroom and snort coke or meth or whatever, and it's just crazy, what a man puts his family through, and could quit, and got to see them every couple of weeks, and never could get my life straightened out, and it just kept going from bad to worse, and the meth had actually took over. It took over my life, and I'd actually thought I'd lost my mind, actually. Probably it did. And as far as that part goes, then I started cooking coke and making crack. And at the same, it was meth, it was crack, it was coke, it was Xanaxes. I'd smoke meth all day and take Xanaxes to try to lay down. I'd eat them 50 or 20 at a time.
Man.
And then when I say I stayed high, I don't mean I got high on the weekends. I mean I stayed high 7 days a week. Whatever I done from morning to morning.
Yeah.
As far as that part goes. And, it was a mess, but there come a point in time I'd hit rock bottom, man. I'd tried suicide twice. One was Xanaxes. Actually slept with a shotgun in my mouth for I don't know how long I was out.
God.
And just sick of living. The old devil had me right where he wanted me. He'd fed my disease for the 27 years, but I was fixing to go right straight to the middle of hell.
Yeah.
And I went to my mom's one day, Danny, and I tell you what, I appreciate a praying mother.
Oh yeah.
And I told Mom, I said, I've had enough. I'm sick, and I said, I can't do this. Now, detoxing on your own's a dangerous thing.
Okay.
Dangerous thing. Now, I tell you what, Mom set up for me for 2 weeks. Never said a ill word to me whatsoever. And then I would lay in the floor, Daddy, and I would pull my hair.
Yeah.
And I would have anxiety and panic attacks, and I'd scream and I'd holler. All this dope coming out of me that I'd done for 27 years.
Yeah.
And Mom would say, there's a few days go by, and Mom would say, son, is it all right if I have somebody to come by and sit and pray for you? I'd say, well, sure, Mom, that's all right. Well, the preacher would come by, they'd sit and pray, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Never really done anything, never felt anything.
Mm-hmm.
About 2 weeks went by, Daddy, and I told Mom one day, I said, Mom, I said, I'm going to go up to that apartment. I said, I need to be by myself for a little while. And she said, that's fine, son. And this is where everything changed.
Okay.
And this is what takes an addict or a lost person. You don't have to be a drug addict to be lost.
Yeah.
But I got up there, and I was a screaming and a hollering. And people could say hallucinations or whatever, but this is for real. I laid in that floor and I screamed and I hollered and I cried. And I finally cried out to God. And I prayed, this is what I done. I looked right up, I laid in the floor, and I said, God, if they are a God, And I said, I need you to come into my heart, to come into my life, save my soul, and help me. And Lord, behold, I'm telling you, there was streams of the brightest, goldest lights that you ever seen in your life that come through the ceiling. There ain't no cracks in my ceiling. And I love the Lord. I tell you what, them lights, that gold light, I couldn't see nothing else pin me to the floor. And when I got up off of that floor, I felt like a new man. New man. And God could touch you and take away all this and be done. But you're going to have to, it don't hardly work that way. He'll touch you and then he's got to clean you up.
Yeah.
And, 2 years I'd done good, you know, and I was in church, and you know, we still make mistakes.
Oh yeah.
And I'll never forget that God told me, he said, Jeff, he said, now when you when you mess up this time, he said, I'm going to put you somewhere I can help you. And I'm like, well, Lord, I said, what do you mean mess up? I said,
Yeah.
mess up?
Yeah.
I kind of like this.
Uh-huh.
And anyway, I went on in life, you know. I'd moved up to Pine Grove Ridge, and actually my daughter had come home. And she'd come home to live with me, and that was a blessing. And you know what I put my kids through is just unreal. But you know, she helped me in more ways than she'll probably ever know, and she probably helped keep me alive several times.
Yeah.
But in this 2 years when she come home, after I went to the pen, I seen what the Lord was talking about. I made a mistake. I started getting right back on the meth after I'd got custody of her. I don't remember how long that she was home before that I got to partying again.
Yeah.
And then it went right straight back. I learned how to make this stuff.
Wow.
And that was not a good thing.
Yeah.
And I remember I stayed in the woods most of the time, and I remember I'd leave her a walkie-talkie, and we'd tell each other good night on the walkie-talkie, you know. You know, and I was happy to have her, you know, home. But at the same time, you know, falling right back into what I'd always done.
Yeah.
And never wanted to hurt nobody in my entire life, you know, with what I'd done. But I had a car wreck down here in Below McKee. This is actually what got me locked up. I'd hit a lady and it almost killed her. Now, I didn't even know I'd hit anybody as far as that part goes.
Wow.
My brother told me at the hospital, he said, son, he said, brother, he said, you know, there's somebody else involved in this accident. And I said, no. And, you know, she is in critical condition, and praise the Lord that she didn't die.
Yeah.
And, you know, that bothered me severely.
Yeah.
And you would think that a man would learn a little lesson there. But when I got home, I went right back the same thing.
What a hold it has on you.
What a hold, that's exactly right, you know. Put me in jail for a little while, all that done was held me up from doing what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And that was cook dope and do dope. And a little bit later on, finally the law come and actually busted me. And, you know, my daughter was at school, and I'm glad that she was when they came. But, you know, that's a phone call, you know, the police is here, honey, you know, I'm not going to be here when you get home. That's a heartbreaking.
Yeah,
but, you know, that wasn't nobody's fault but mine.
Yeah.
You know, and, but anyway, I stayed locked up and for a while, and then I got bonded out. They started putting an ankle bracelet on me, and I made a comment, and they locked me right straight back up because I didn't want that ankle bracelet no way.
Yeah.
Because that limited me to where I could go and what I could do.
Uh-huh.
But I ended up getting out later on. I won't mention no names who bonded me out because that part don't matter. And I went right straight back. My brother got me home. When he got out of sight, I probably went right straight back and started to cooking.
Yeah.
And when they come and busted me, you know, I didn't get back out that time. You know, when you was talking about enabling, you know, when everybody quit trying to help me, that's when I probably got the best help that I could ever get.
Yeah.
You know, and I understand, you know, a lot of parents, you don't want to see your kids messed up, and you don't want to see them without, but, you know, jail is not the worst place that you could be.
That's exactly right.
You know,
Absolutely
it's
right.
probably one of the best and safest places. You might not like being there.
Yeah.
And probably don't. I ain't met nobody yet that like being there. But at the same time, you know, you're at least getting fed and
yeah.
And you got somewhere to lay down. And but I stayed 13 months in a cell that probably about twice as long as this, but it wasn't no wider than this.
Yeah.
13 months. You imagine staying in this room right here 13 months.
Man. I couldn't do it.
And it was miserable, but it's the only time I seen daylight's when they'd take me across the road to court. Now, when I got locked up, I had 23 felony charges altogether, so I was looking at 20 to life is what I was looking at when I went in front of the judge.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't agree to nothing.
Yeah.
At all. They tried to give me 20 years and me pull 18 and a half of them before I could ever get out. And I said, you get me a jury and I'll take 40 years if they give it to me.
Wow.
And that judge told me, he said, I'll tell you what I'll do. He said, I'll get a jury. And he said, what you beat me on's fine. But he said, what you don't beat me on, he said, I'll max you out on every one of them.
Really?
Yes, sir.
He's going to make an example out of you.
Yes, sir. Well, Lord behold, 13 months later, they brought a judge from Somerset down here.
Mm-hmm.
And this judge, he charged me with 2 of them, and he said 10 years. The deal was 10 years, pull 20%, graduate the substance abuse program, and he would shock me back out into the street.
Uh-huh.
And that's what I done. That's when I went down to the pen, and I hadn't, like I said, talking about that program there a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought much about it. Now, when I first got to the pen, they sent us over to Blackburn. That's like going to a college.
Yeah, I've been to Blackburn.
No fence.
Yeah.
That's kind of hard. That's kind of hard when you can't adapt to something when you can see normal life going on across the street.
Yeah. I understand that.
Yeah, that wasn't good. And I'm like, Lord, I don't know if I can do this or not. And you get 10 years for walking across the road that added on to your time.
Yeah.
And I wasn't there too long, thank God. And they said, we're going to send you back behind the fence. And I said, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
I couldn't see the outside world behind the fence. I had to adapt to penitentiary life, and so that's what I done. But then the substance abuse program started. That's a pretty. If you've ever talked to anybody that's been in it, it's pretty. It's governed by the inmates.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're trying to teach you how to survive out here in the real world and learn something. And they'll hang signs on your neck and make you get up in front of people and do some crazy things.
Yep.
But anyway, when it shocked me out, like I said, I love my brother, and he's been a major help in my life, and want to come home. We were at that feed store and done that, and his friends come around and stuff, and a little later I started to dabble a little bit. And then I figured out, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I said, I know who you are. That was nothing but the pure devil showing up.
Well, about you recognized it.
Yes, sir. And I said, this ain't happening again.
Yeah.
And so ever since then, man, the Lord has blessed me. I met Sherry, and we got married, and we got a beautiful daughter. And
yeah, buddy.
We've been married 12 years, and I love life, and
I don't ever see you anymore without a smile on your face.
I hear you. That's a good thing. I was used to, what, Daddy, I never did smile no way.
Yeah.
I always wasn't trying to be mean or nothing, but I walked around. It wasn't nothing to smile at. I didn't really smile much, and didn't really care about life when it comes right down to it.
You're just going through the motions.
Yeah.
I guess maybe be the best way to explain it.
Yes, sir.
I never known you to be a mean person. I never known you to be in a bad mood. But I also never known you to be as deep in it as what you just said.
Yes, sir.
Because you was a very well-functioning addict.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Right.
I like you say, you was high 7 days a week. I never did know it.
I hear you. Yeah, 7 days a week and many a year, it's to be able to sit down, and that's why I say, if you can't see that God is real through my life, I don't want nobody to remember nothing about me. I just want them to remember what Jesus has done for me.
Yeah, buddy.
He restored my soul. He restored my health, my mind. You know, I put a lot of chemicals in this body. I've had every kind of test run. They say I'm a healthy man, and I'm scared to death when we had all them tests run.
Yeah.
But you know, that was a blessing, and but you know, being a addict, and I like I said, I hope this helps someone. When I got straight, everything that I'd ever done from the time I was 10 to the time I got straight started going through my mind. It's just like your mind's just like a computer.
Yeah.
And if you get a virus on that computer, you got to clean it.
Yeah.
Well, I had plenty of viruses because drug addiction is kind of like this. I don't care what kind of problem I caused or had.
Yeah.
I didn't deal with that. I'd just get high and go on.
Yeah.
So there's 27 years of things that I done and created that I hadn't ever dealt with, Danny, ever.
Yep.
And my mind, like I said, it just do everything that I'd ever done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I've apologized to some people, you know, and I'd apologize to all of them, anybody that I'd ever caused any harm to. I would today, you know. It's you know, used to, I'd take your money, I'd take everything you got.
Yeah.
You know, didn't care.
Yeah.
You know, now I'd give you the shirt off my back, and I'd help you in any way that I can, and
I know
you
you
know,
will.
and that's just I love life, and but anyway, I had to deal with all these problems,
Yeah.
and get them out of my life. And you know, you'll sit and dwell sometimes, but you can't drag the past into your future,
That's
or
true.
you'll be living in the past,
That's
and
true.
that don't go over too well.
Yeah.
But you know, like I said, I love the Lord. He has blessed me. The clothes on my back bones, they come through Him. The shoes on my feet, the food on my table.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't have nothing for show, but He's given me a couple things to make a living with. That is,
Yeah, buddy.
it's just blown my mind. I never figured I'd own anything like that in my life, and Lord behold, He gave me two of them.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
And you know, and I'm not here to brag on none of that, because like
Oh,
I said,
Lord, brag, buddy.
that's you know,
You deserve it.
it's my name may be on the titles to them, but they come from the Lord, you know.
Yeah.
And does that mean that when you become a Christian and live for the Lord, that life is easy? No, it ain't. What they put him through when he was here, they didn't like him. They beat him.
Yeah.
They drug him through the streets.
Yep.
You know, so why should we have it any easier? You know, when you become a Christian, that don't mean everything's just hunky-dory. I'm kind of like a pastor. I'm kind of like Brian told me one time, or told the church. He said, I'd like to hand you a Bible when you first get saved and say, all your problems is over. But it ain't that way.
Yeah.
It ain't that way.
Yeah.
You know, we struggle and we go through things. But I'm like this. When the devil shows up and he comes at me, he don't like me at all, Danny, because I share this with other people.
Yeah.
And I live for the Lord. Now, he don't like me, so he attacks me in many of a way,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll crawl in any corner that somebody can. If you allow him to crawl in a crack, he'll crawl in it.
Oh, yeah.
But I know who he is when he shows up, because I run with him too long and I ain't got nothing for him.
Yeah.
Because I tell you what, I was at my rope's end and I was headed right straight to hell. But I praise the Lord, and I appreciate you inviting me here, and I appreciate everybody listening today.
Well, Jeff, buddy, I sure appreciate you coming.
And I hope this helps someone. Listen, if you're an addict and you got problems out there and you want help, you can get it, but you're going to have to want it. You know, there comes a point in time to where if you're done and you want done, you need to seek help if you're out there and you're strung out like I was. I see a lot of people here, and you know what I do for a living. I see it all over the world, everywhere I go in these trucks.
Yeah.
And I see, you know, and the drugs that's out in these streets today, you know, they'll kill you.
Oh, yeah.
And I see a lot of it, and addiction is not something easy to get. It's not an easy thing to get off of. Some people may throw it down and go on about their business, but I couldn't, and I don't know many that has.
I don't know anybody that could.
And, you know, the addiction that stole their life, it stole their identity. I forgot who I was. I didn't know who I was anymore, Dan. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, but I used to when I was 10. And I had dreams.
Yeah.
But the devil, through the addiction, stole all my dreams and stole my identity.
Yeah.
And sitting here today, if I was sitting and looking at the same person across there, the old Jeff Madden, I didn't like that man.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to be that man again, and I don't think I ever will be
You
that
won't
man
be.
again. And I'm not gonna quit serving the Lord, and I'm not gonna quit telling everybody about. I want to help somebody.
You will.
I
You
wanna
did
help
here
somebody,
today.
and that's what it's all about is helping somebody.
You definitely did help a lot of people today. There'll be a lot of people hear this. I know a lot of people that is in active addiction does listen to this podcast. I get emails from people saying, hey, this person really come on there and helped me out. So it'll definitely help a whole lot of people. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on and talking about it, because it's not easy. It's not an easy thing, I would imagine, especially when you start talking about your kids and stuff like that. That's hard to bring up.
Yes, it is.
But like you said, the devil lost one of his greatest warriors in hell when he lost you. So he's no doubt pretty mad about it.
Oh yeah. He lets me know from time to time, but the Lord, I'm like, I know who you are. You get behind me, But I have to realize that when he shows up.
Yeah.
Because he will, and if he catches you off guard, he'll hit you today and he'll leave you alone a little bit, and,
Yeah.
and he'll hit you again. But like I said, I know who he is. I just laugh about it sometimes, and sometimes he really gets under my skin. Don't get me wrong. I'd like to hit him so
I guarantee it.
In the flesh, I can't do nothing with it, but spiritually, I can handle it.
Oh yeah, you got this, Jeff, buddy. You've always been one of my favorite people, buddy.
I appreciate you. I
You've-
thought the world of you for a long time, man.
Well, me and you always got along. I thought
Yes,
you were like
sir.
a buddy.
Yeah, we
We're
have.
neighbors.
Yep.
You are a blessed man. You've got a good thing going. You got a beautiful wife, beautiful family.
Yes, sir.
You're a success story, buddy. You really are.
Yeah, I
In
love
every
that.
shape, form there is. You're a true success story, and I sure appreciate you.
That ain't no problem. I appreciate you inviting me once again, and I appreciate what the Lord's done for me. He don't owe me nothing, and I owe him everything.
Yeah, buddy. We all do.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, buddy.
Yes, sir.
All right, everybody. That is, I hit the wrong camera there. We got a little, I want to say this. The podcast has went through a whole lot of changes here lately with video and stuff like that, and I've been down here working on video ads and everything, and I'm going to play one of them here, and you all let me know on the Facebook page or on within the show notes of the podcast what you think about it. It takes about 3 hours to do one of these, and I've got 2 done, and I think I've got about 5 more to do. So you all just let me know what you think of this little ad here that I'm gonna play, and I guess that's all. Until next time, I appreciate everybody. Appreciate you, Jeff, coming and talking to us,
Appreciate you inviting me.
and we'll see y'all next time. Let me know what you think of this ad, folks.
Welcome to A&J Deals, your one-stop shop for all your daily needs. We have everything from laundry detergent, cleaning supplies, grocery products, batteries, pop, energy drinks, and much more. Please stop by at 7416 Highway 421 North, Sand Gap, KY, or give us a call at 606-975-9664.